What's poppin', my bad witches and AGATHOTS? It's me, MT, and welcome back to the Heavy Spoilers Show, y'all. This is about to be a breakdown for episode 3 of AGATHA All Along, an episode that ends quite tragically for one of our adventurers. So naturally, there are about to be a lot of spoilers for this episode of AGATHA All Along, so do not watch this video until you watch that particular episode, or if you don't care about being spoiled, then just, come along, because we're about to get into it. Through Many Miles of Tricks and Trials is the name of this third episode of AGATHA All Along, once again continuing the trend of using lyrics of the Ballad of the Witch's Road as the episode titles. And it's a very fitting title because this is the episode where the tricks and trials begin. While the group start along the road, the Mrs. Foreman, formerly known as Sharon, whips out her phone and points out to everyone that she has absolutely no service, proving that the Witch's Road is indeed existing on a completely different plane of existence. And not long after this, Jennifer Kale says that somebody has got to call the parents of the mysterious teenager played by actor Joe Locke, to which the teen replies that if it is indeed nighttime, like it is on the road, then his parents would likely be asleep. I found that to be super interesting considering that in the last episode, Teen told Agatha that his mother had passed away. So unless this teen is comparing his mother's death to sleeping, this is kind of contradictory to one of the few things that we do know about this dude. Maybe we're looking at a scenario here where whatever spell was placed on the teen in the past causes his brain to completely make up scenarios as to where his parents are, when those particular parents do not actually exist. I mean, if the spell placed on him makes him unable to reveal any accurate information about himself and his past, then the only type of teen background information that we'll be able to hear is misinformation. But moving on from the kid, Jennifer Kale then asks who the hell Sharon Davis is and why this witchless bish was on the mish with them, with the teen quickly correcting Jennifer Kale by revealing that anybody can be a witch with proper training, which is 100% true. While Doctor Strange is learning about the mystic arts in Kamar-Taj in the very first Doctor Strange movie, he learns from the Ancient One that any human being with the desire to learn sorcery can technically learn how to be a sorcerer, and if this is the case, then naturally such a feat should be possible for aspiring witches as well, and there's a reason for this. Within every human being in the MCU is a swirl of cosmic rainbow infinity energy, and in the first season of Loki, this stuff was called temporal aura by the TVA, but whether you want to call it temporal aura, or chi, or chakra, or whatever, this soup of cosmic energy that lives in every human being is at the root of all magic and superpowers in this cinematic universe. And it's because all of these energies are composed of these same 6 cosmic infinity energies that painted the entire 616 universe at the moment of the Big Bang. And we actually see these inner energies the best when the Dweller in Darkness is slurping Wenwu's temporal aura / life essence chi out of his body towards the end of Shang-Chi. The more infinity energy one can slurp out of human beings, the more powerful that entity becomes. I mean, we saw it happen with Agatha and Wandavision, then we saw it happen with Wanda in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, then we saw it happen with the Dweller in Darkness in Shang-Chi, and it was also Dormammu's entire deal in the first Doctor Strange movie. This all being said, I believe that both sorcerers and witches draw from these inner energies inside of their body to summon their magic, which is why people like Wenwu or the Witches of Salem wither and die when someone slurps all that energy out of them. And it's also why human beings turn into a weird rainbow mist whenever they are pruned by the TVA. These infinity energies are straight up the core of all scientific and magical marvels of this universe, and it's partly why I've called my overall theory on all these infinity energies in the MCU the Marvel trigger theory, because these energies trigger Marvels. And like I said in the previous video, if you guys want to check out my video on the Marvel trigger theory, check out my breakdown of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 that you guys can find right here. But anyways, MCU Magic 101 aside, Lilia then realizes that the Witch's Road was meant for whoever goes down it to endure a series of trials to face their overall fears. Something that I found to be a little bit reminiscent to the fear hole concept that Star Wars tends to use in their projects to help the protagonist confront what they fear the most. It happened to Luke Skywalker in the Dagobah cave in The Empire Strikes Back when he was forced to confront his fear of becoming a new Darth Vader, and it also happened to Rey in The Last Jedi when her fear hole had her face her fear of being alone and parentless. The adult animation Rick and Morty then did a hilarious parody on that whole fear hole concept in the 10th episode of their 7th season. I actually did a whole breakdown on that episode that you guys can check out here. I just thought that this was a funny coincidence because the witches went down a hole to enter the Witch's Road. So in a way, the Witch's Road is a bit of a fear hole. And much like those stories, it appears evident that the journey down this road is going to help Agatha Harkness overcome a particular darkness within them to help them evolve into a better person. Because facing one's fear is the path to becoming a Jedi after all. And while yes, this is clearly not Star Wars, this type of journey is one that the most interesting characters in fiction tend to make as their character develops into a better person. Because at the end of the day, knowing your fear is knowing yourself, and this episode makes it apparent that Agatha's biggest fears are rooted in the consequences of her selfish, power-hungry life, like how she has to confront the fact that she likely traded her own bouncing baby boy for the devil's dirty dictionary, the Darkhold. So after Agatha goes on this journey, it's more likely than not that she will end up becoming the good witch that she is in the comics, so she can eventually become the nanny of Franklin and Valeria Richards when the Fantastic Four finally get back to timeline 616. Anyways, when the teen attempts to introduce themselves to the group of witches, they all realize that Agatha has been hiding the fact that a sigil has been placed on him, redacting key pieces of information from witch folk specifically, which kind of makes you wonder why they didn't just have the teen tell Sharon Davis who he is so that Sharon could relay that information back to all of them, because as far as we know, that bish ain't no witch. But at any rate, when teen asks why someone would want to hide him, I found the decision to have Agatha physically push the teen behind her from the camera here to be an extremely intentional piece of symbolic cinematography, one meant to potentially show how Agatha may have been the one to hide teen through her past actions that she had hoped to uncover on the low over the course of this journey. But no, teen had to just open his big, magically sealed mouth. But where the hell did Mrs. Foreman go? Off to the side of the road apparently, which is a big no-no, which she clearly finds out the hard way when the purse that she apparently bought at the women's clothing store Talbot's starts to sink into the ground, with Sharon soon along with it. This is actually one of the first of a few ways that this episode sort of foreshadows Sharon's unfortunate fate to suffocate and drown, with the next one being when Sharon says maybe this is the end when the group arrives at the house that appeared out of nowhere, followed by the moment when Sharon freaks out and says, "Bury me in that kitchen," when the group enters the house for the first time. She would get what she asked for when she would die in that kitchen. But before they get inside though, they notice that the front door is themed after the moon, with a big old moon at its center and 12 circles around it representing the astrological 12 phases of the moon. Teen then quickly notes that the moon at the door center is a full moon indicative of the water phase, which was very much meant to foreshadow the flooding to come and Sharon's demise in that flood. Every trial on the Witch's Road will likely have this moon design presented at the very start. And the main reason why I believe this is because we actually see Agatha and teen walking over a drawbridge with a slightly altered version of this very same design in one of the trailers, except with what looks like a waning crescent moon at its center. But anyways, when they enter the house, the gang then gets their outfits completely changed by the Witch's Road. And when they do, take a look at how Agatha immediately puts her hand over her locket brooch to make sure that it's still there. A subtle way of showing how much the brooch and the mysterious lock of hair within that brooch means to her. And after the group gets a good look at their new surroundings, teen then notices a card above the fireplace, right below this picture of two women swimming together, yet another piece of flooding foreshadowing. But while we're on the shot of the teen approaching the card, notice the design of the two doors on the side here. All the doors of this house have a big old circle towards the top, layered over a large shape of a rectangle. This door design could either serve to subtly echo the overall moon theme that the front door established, or could even possibly be a subtle nod to the Darkhold Tower of Wandagore, a tower of a castle designed similarly to these doors with a big old circle at the top. But anyways, on the front of the card, we can see that the card is decorated with blue flowers, much like the ones the Witch's Road was surrounded with when the group first arrived. It seems to me that the overall blueness of this area and the house in general seems to be indicative of this being the first phase of the trial. At the very end of this episode, when the group exits the house after completing the first trial, the next area of the Witch's Road appears to be themed red to mark the next phase. And from the trailers, we do know that this area of the Witch's Road with the red leaves and the red tree roots is where Rio Vidal emerges from the ground to join the witches on their adventure. So definitely expect to see some more Aubrey Plaza action in episode 4. But anyway, anyways, after reading the riddle on the card, the group then spots a bottle of wine in the middle of 5 wine glasses that form the shape of a pentagon, much like the pentagon-shaped door the witches went through in Agatha's basement to actually get to the Witch's Road, obviously meant to evoke the pentagram symbolism that dominates witchcraft in general. And the text on the wine bottle is written completely in Spanish, but lucky for you guys, I have a master's degree in Google Translate, so I got you, cuh. The brand is called Reina, which means queen, and the line of text underneath Reina roughly translates to prepared on the property, likely meaning prepared in the Rioja province of Spain, as indicated by the word Rioja written in red text here. Then under the word Rioja, we have the line qualified designation of origin, followed by Bread 2016, indicating the year that the wine was made. Then at the very bottom of the label seems to be the words prepared for a queen or fit for a queen, followed by product of Spain. And since this red wine is called Reina or Queen, then I'm inclined to believe that this bottle could possibly symbolize the Scarlet Witch's chaos magic, as Wanda Maximoff is the Queen of Chaos. But not only this, but a little bit later in the episode, we quickly find out that this wine would cause everyone who drank it to experience frightening visions, much like the Avengers experienced in Age of Ultron when Wanda messed with all of their minds. The wine being made in the year 2016 could be referring to the year that the Scarlet Witch first began to be feared around the world, after her actions with the Avengers in Lagos at the beginning of Civil War led to the deaths of a bunch of people, including some envoys from the nation of Wakanda. That's pretty much when the world started the Scarlet Witch hunts in a weird way, with Tony Stark trying to protect Wanda in his own way by keeping her prisoner in the Avengers compound. But this is all just a guess, of course. And another huge possibility that our editor Matt brought to my attention is how the 2016 on the wine bottle could very well be a reference to 2016's Scarlet Witch number 5, where the Scarlet Witch ventures to a vineyard in Rioja, Spain. Definitely a super plausible Easter egg there, so huge props to Matt for that one. But anyways, as Jennifer and the team go and look for a corkscrew for the wine, Jennifer warns Teen to be wary of Agatha by telling him how Agatha traded her own son to the demon lord Mephisto in exchange for the Darkhold, with this being the first time in MCU history that Mephisto was actually mentioned by name, which is super dope. For those of you who do not know, Mephisto is one of the most powerful demon lords in Marvel Comics, who was first named in 1968's Silver Surfer number 3, and ever since then, he's been terrorizing the Marvel Universe in his own way as a Hell Lord with the ability to warp reality, but usually only after foolish human beings make deals with him. With of course the most infamous instance of Mephisto's reality meddling being that one time Mephisto saved Aunt May from dying in exchange for Peter Parker's marriage with Mary Jane in the much beloved and totally not blood-boiling One More Day Spider-Man storyline. And while Mephisto is usually called Marvel's adaptation of the devil, there really isn't just one singular devil figure in the Marvel mythos. There's actually been a number of them, like Satanish, Hela, Mikaboshi, and Sitarak, just to name a few. Much like there are multiple gods in Marvel, there are also multiple demon kings. But anyways, after this, the group open the wine and make a quick toast before Sharon suggests everyone move to the sofa. And when she does, the cinematography seems to purposely place Sharon's head within the frame of yet another photograph of a female swimming in a pool, providing even more death foreshadowing for poor old Sharon. And while chilling on the sofa, Teen compliments Alice on her tattoo, to which Alice reveals that she got it in Colorado while her mother Lorna was performing at the Red Rocks Amphitheater in Morrison, Colorado. Apparently Alice's mother made her get that tattoo in order to ward off curses due to her strong belief that every woman in the Wu family was cursed. Later on in the episode, when Alice is living through what looks to be a flashback of her mother from years ago, her mother says that she could feel the moment Alice's grandmother died, lamenting that it was her turn now because it was going to kill her as well. This mysterious it entity could likely be referring to the mysterious demon that killed comic book Alice Gulliver's mother, August Wu, with comic book Alice Wu promising to one day find out which demon killed her mother so that she can avenge her. However, unlike the MCU though, this demon did not kill her grandmother in the comics, as her grandmother was alive and well in 2016's Scarlet Witch number 7 when Wanda Maximoff went to go visit her to get some intel. So this curse appears to be something completely new made for this series. Also, I did want to mention how it appears that all the women in the Wu family appear to have a super strong connection with one another, much like the women in both Miss Marvel and Echo's families. Women appear to have a stronger generational power that bonds them together more so than men do in the MCU, it seems. Which sort of makes sense considering that women do be making the babies. In response to Alice revealing that she got a tattoo at 13, Teen says that a lot happened to him at 13 too, which would lend some credence to the theories that Joe Locke's Teen could actually be Wanda's mutant son Billy Maximoff, as mutant powers tend to manifest themselves at the age of 13 around puberty. But I personally do not think that Teen is Billy Maximoff at all, due to there not really being a strong link between Teen and Wanda just yet. However, if Teen ends up being Agatha's son Nicholas Scratch, then maybe this could imply that some sort of mutation happened to him at the age of 13. Who knows? Just throwing out ideas here. But anyways, after this, Sharon asks if witch is another name for a bad girl, which Lilia corrects her by saying that witches don't have green skin, pointy hats, and broomsticks like humanity tends to assume, with that description matching that of the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. Then the group quickly realizes that the wine that they've been drinking was actually poisoned when their faces get crazy inflamed as a result of Alewife's revenge, meaning it was only a matter of time before hallucinations and possible death. Agatha, in her selfishness, suggests that they all just let Sharon drink all the wine so that she secretly doesn't have to drink any, with Agatha symbolically putting her hair over half of her face to show that she's hiding ulterior motives. But after the teen sees right through Agatha's BS, he gets agitated and offers to drink the wine instead, which causes Agatha to immediately stop him and agree to drink the wine. Yet another example of Agatha attempting to spare Teen of potential harm, just like she did at the end of the last episode when she sent Teen away before plotting to steal the other witch's powers for her own. It seems like Agatha either suspects or really wants Teen to be the son that she gave up for the Darkhold a long time ago. And she might be hoping that the sigil placed on the teen's mouth could point to her son finding her way back to her. But all that remains to be seen, of course. But anyways, right after Agatha drinks her some Alewife's revenge, Sharon begins to hallucinate by saying, "Wanda, I'm begging you, let him breathe," implying that Sharon is hallucinating her time in Wanda's hex when Wanda had Mr. Davis choke on some food when Mr. Davis began questioning Wanda and Vision's past. Now realizing what they're dealing with, Jennifer Kale has the group fetch the necessary ingredients that she needs for an antidote. As Agatha and Lilia look for some petroleum jelly, Lilia has one of her weird random freakouts where she appears to receive some sort of message to try to save Agatha, which Agatha is confused about but can't help but agree with. Not sure what the hell that was about, but part of me feels like it's possible that Lilia's affinity for divination might have given her some sort of antenna for receiving instructions from an outside person or entity. You know, in a similar way to how Wenwu was receiving messages from the Dweller in Darkness to free him in Shang-Chi. I mean, hell, maybe this could possibly be Wanda Maximoff's weird long-distance way of trying to save Agatha after Wanda was buried in the rubbles of Wundagore in Multiverse of Madness. I mean, we did learn in Wandavision that chaos magic does have the ability to act like radio waves after all. So maybe Wanda is using her red chaos magic to send radio wave-like signals to Lilia's brain, encouraging her to save Agatha. Very much using the same type of science that Ant-Man uses to communicate with the ants in Ant-Man, as Hank Pym appears to be a scientific specialist when it comes to chaos energy, as chaos energy appears to be what Pym particles are made out of. Because you gotta remember that one of the last things that Agatha said to Wanda in WandaVision is that one day Wanda is going to need her. So maybe that day has finally come, with Wanda needing Agatha to save her from under the rubble. But that's just all hypothesizing, of course. Anyways, the Kale Care products that Agatha and Lilia go through appear to have a double K logo that seems to be a parody of Kim Kardashian's double K logo, hilariously showing just how much of a fraud Jennifer Kale is, in my opinion. Then as Alice and the mysterious teen explore the house, they come across an indoor sauna, but before they enter, you can actually see a picture of a stork behind them, a possible reference to the stork that Agatha Harkness manifested when Wanda was about to give birth in the Westview Hex in WandaVision episode 3. And while Alice has the vision of her mother in the sauna, screaming about how she can't protect Alice from what's to come, Lilia Calderu comes across a mysterious mysterious woman in a yellow dress that looks like she's straight from the 16th century, around the same time that Lilia Calderu was most likely born, possibly implying that this vision is a flashback to Lilia's past. Following this mysterious woman, Lilia is led down an old dusty hallway with vines growing on the walls, eventually being led to a room where the corpse of a dead woman sits at a table, with that dead woman possibly being Lilia herself. However, as soon as the dead woman's eyes suddenly open, a cloaked skeleton figure suddenly pops up behind her, filling Lilia with fear and causing her to book it the hell out of there. This cloaked skeleton figure could possibly be our second look at the cosmic entity Death in the MCU, after Death was first teased as one of the statues at the Gates of Eternity in Thor: Love and Thunder. And this is all happening, of course, while Jennifer has her hallucination of a random mustached man calling her an inconvenient woman before attempting to drown her while saying, "And now you are nothing." I believe that all of these visions that these women experience throughout this episode each represent their particular fears, much like Lilia Calderu predicted at the beginning of their journey. Alice Gulliver's fear seems to be becoming as unhinged as her mother while spending her life worrying about a dark generational curse leading to her own demise, while Lilia is afraid of death in general, as evidenced by her extremely long life spent in isolation and her great fear of this Grim Reaper type figure. And Jennifer's biggest fear appears to be her vulnerability now that she's a bound witch unable to tap into her energetic powers, a handicap that leaves her weak enough for mere mortals to hurt and possibly kill her should she ever get on humanity's bad side. And Agatha's eventual vision later on in the episode, of course, is indicative of her fear of what her past deal with Mephisto could have done to her son, Nicholas Scratch, a decision that Agatha now appears to have the time to deeply regret now that the Darkhold has stopped blinding her with power. But anyways, the women eventually gather up all of their ingredients, but are greeted with the shitty news that their beach house is now, unfortunately, underwater, literally and figuratively increasing the pressure on the ladies to get the antidote ready ASAP. When Jennifer notes that they need to find a way to make her sink cauldron boil, Teen gets the idea to use a sous vide machine, an idea that he apparently got from his father, another piece of background information that we've gotten about Teen's past that wasn't magically censored. And after a mini freakout by Jennifer, followed by a wholesome pep talk from Agatha, Jennifer summons all the knowledge that she already has to remember that the blood of the unpoisoned is the final ingredient that they need, leading Agatha to quickly cut Teen's hand so his blood can stabilize the concoction. Unfortunately though, as soon as the group cured themselves of their poison, the waters from outside the house start to flood the kitchen, but luckily the house provides them with an escape, so long as they all shove themselves inside of an oven, which is quite ironic considering that both drowning and burning is how people back in the day used to get rid of those they thought were witches. Hopping into the oven, the witches all make their way back to the Witch's Road, a road themed red this time around like I brought up before. If the first area was themed blue and was a trial focused around water, then this next red area that they entered into via an oven might just be themed around fire, but only time will tell there. And of course, the episode ends with the tragic death of Sharon Davis, who drowned in the escape. However, since she was one of the 5 people needed to walk the Witch's Road, Agatha is now 1 witch short, leaving room for Aubrey Plaza's Rio Vidal to step in, just like we see her do in the trailers. But anyways, that is it for this breakdown of episode 3 of Agatha All Along. Let us know your theories for what's coming up next in the comment section down below. You guys can follow me at Mastertainment on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever I am on the internet. But most importantly, follow Heavy Spoilers by hitting that subscribe button and hitting that like button right after. And maybe even taking some time to hit up the Heavy Spoiler store so that you guys can pick up some fancy Heavy Spoilers merch. But yes, like always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.